Trustee Teasdale, call the order. Roll call.
Trustee Verma.
Present.
Trustee Margolis.
Present.
Trustee Kilgore.
Present.
Trustee Chekai, absent.
Excused.
Trustee Teasdale, present. Trustee Mena.
Present.
Trustee Stirring.
Present.
Student Representative Hang. Student Representative Matthew.
Present.
If we could all rise for the pledge, please.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to ask the trustees to take a look at the agenda, and if they have any comments on the agenda. What I would like to ask is the trustees to give me some liberty in adjusting the presentations tonight. Senator Cole advised he might be a little bit late, so I would like to take up item 6C as appropriate based on his presence. But other than that, I ask for the trustees' comments or approval to the agenda with that slight modification.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the agenda with the modification for 6C, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the agenda as presented is approved. Moving on to item number 4, our consent agenda. I ask the trustees to take a look at the consent agenda and see if they have any comments on the consent agenda.
Move to accept.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of accepting the consent agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the consent agenda as presented is adopted unanimously. Item number 5, correspondence. Don't believe we have any correspondence this
We
evening?
do not.
We do not have any correspondence this evening, so moving on to item number 6. This is a special time when we do our presentations. We get to acknowledge wonderful and important people, and I really do. This is the fun part of our agenda.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, trustees, because this is a very exciting time of the year when I can approach you and let you know that we are recognizing some very important library employees this evening for their year of service, specifically to the goals that we set under the library board and then with the staff. These would be recognitions for 2012-2013, which is the year we just finished. And I look to my supervisors, which is my management team, to recognize staff that have gone above and beyond in their position and their capacity at the library. People who have made significant goals this past year, have done exceptional work or provided something exceptional to the library. So we have some wonderful library employees this evening that I'd like to recognize. Sure, absolutely. President Stirring, come up and join me. I'll give you a little bit of information first and then we'll go through the certificates. But we have 4 employees specifically for what we call our library stars. And those are people who have worked towards their library goals and have achieved them or even done exceptional in their job this year. David McCown, he is one of our newer supervisors working for the Support Services Department. And David does a wonderful job working with our patrons, but also has a wonderful hand at policy and procedure. And that's why he was recognized this evening. So, David? They're not in order. Congratulations to you.
Congratulations, David.
Thank you very much. Our next employee is Jennifer Preston. And Jennifer, actually last fall, She helped institute our teen space. So as you all know, this has been a huge accomplishment for our library this year. It came out of strategic planning and started with some of our teenagers wanting to have a space to hang out and to socialize. And Jennifer, along with one of her colleagues, Suzanne Carpenter, researched it. We knew that there were libraries that had been trying this concept out, but Jennifer brought it to fruition and actually was one of the staff that worked regularly with the teens in the teen space. And I'm happy to report that we did have complaints from library patrons in the past, working with our teen population and the way sometimes the library was being utilized. And I'm very proud of the fact that by instituting the teen space, we did not receive those complaints this past year. The teen space will occur again this fall, and we'll be working this week, actually Thursday, with our team of partners to get ready for the new fall that's coming in 2013 and the new students that will be coming back to school at Novi High. So Jennifer, thank you so much. Our next staff person, John D'Amico, unfortunately was not able to join us this evening, but I want you to be aware of what he's done. John actually is our building monitor in the building. And John was hired a few years ago to work with crowd control, knowing that the usage of the building definitely was exceeding what we expected. He also very much works with Jennifer and the teen space and has a wonderful rapport with our teenagers. So that's John's role at the library, and has done a fantastic job relationship building with our teens, and they know who he is, and that also comes from that wonderful interaction with Jennifer as well. So I do want to make sure that John is recognized this evening. And then, definitely not last, but our wonderful Marcia Dominic, who is here always at our board meetings. Marcia is my administrative assistant. I sometimes call her the right and the left hand because she helps me all the time in our admin office, taking on multiple tasks all the time and lots of additional work. But specifically this year, we're recognizing Marcia because she was able to get our invoicing system in place with the city of Novi. And so we are electronically sending all of our information now to the city, and that has cut down on a lot of paperwork and time. And so that was all due to her implementation. So Marcia, thank you very much. Our last award, now those, like I said, were nominated from the management team. Our last award we put out, and this is voted on by our employees, and that's our Customer Service Award. You all know that that's a very important and an area that's very near and dear to my heart, and something that we strive to be very, very good at the Novi Library. This particular employee shows amazing customer service, not only with our patrons, but also our internal patrons, which is our staff. And I'm really happy to share with you that Maureen Samari was voted a number of times by a number of employees at the library this year to receive our Customer Service Award. So Maureen. Now, let me just note that we have a fantastic staff, and these are just a few people recognized for just some exceptional, but I do believe that I have 70 wonderful employees that work very hard every day to do what we do best at Novi Library. So I do believe they all need applause because they come every day with smiles and working very hard. But these are just some of our stars. We will be putting a plaque together. This is something now of a tradition, so we have a plaque that's going to be on order. And then these particular staff members will be invited to a dinner, which the president of the board and myself will take them to dinner in September as a special thank you. So again, I want to thank all of you for all of your wonderful hard work and the dedication that you provide to Novi Library.
The point is, last year also I mentioned, they will have a certificate, they will be inside, but nobody will know outside that they are the star. I suggested last year, we should have a level star type of thing, which so many institutions give.
Right.
We should give those stars to them so that when they come to I know David is all the time
Yes.
at the circulation desk, and I know how he works.
Yes.
But the point is, when the star comes, the chest comes out in the person's.
Yes, thank you.
I think we should have, last year we mentioned we didn't do it, this year we should bring something and give it to them.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We will continue on with 6C as soon as I see Senator Caldwell come in. At this point in the meeting, we invite the public to make comment. This is the opportunity for anybody in the public who would like to make a comment to the library. They're welcome to. Please approach the podium.
Good evening. My name is Dennis O'Connor. I'm the president of the Novi School Board. Over the last 5 years on the school board, many of you know that I've tried to create a culture of sharing government services among both adjacent school districts and local municipalities. You know, to me, it's all about cooperation, it's about collaboration, and it's also about that dreaded word consolidation when it comes to eliminating duplicated services or redundant costs. But there's also another very important aspect of sharing government services, and that's what I want to focus on tonight. It's the aspect of sharing government services when it comes to program enhancements. Now, as library board members, you should know how much the Novi School District appreciates Julie Farkas and her staff for their ongoing dedication to working with our school administrators to really enhance reading programs for all our Novi students. This is something that's been going on for a couple of years. The link, the connection has been there, but it really hasn't been well known in the public. And I really want the board members to really understand how great this has been in terms of sharing government services. This year's summer reading program, for example, or the Teen Space that was just mentioned earlier, are just examples of programs that are getting bigger and better than ever, and there's great participation. Engaged students are there every day, and they're focused on better reading skills and better academic development. I just wanted to take a minute to thank Julie, her staff, and the board for your continued support with the Novi School District. It's been a great way to share government services. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. We're aware of those, but it's very nice of you to highlight those for us as well. Again, we appreciate it. We appreciate all the dedication that you have provided and the school board has provided to the library, because it's a very reciprocal arrangement. And we appreciate the things you're doing and what the school board is doing as it benefits the library as well. Thank you. Any other comments? Response? Okay. Any other comments from the public? Next item would be the President's report. The only thing we have on the President's report tonight is any update relative to the goals, and I'll turn that over to Julie.
Great. Well, you now have our new strategic objectives and then the library's goals, as well as you will now start to see the individual tactics, or we call them strategies, that we will be adding throughout the year in order to meet these objectives and goals for the 2013-14 year. Couple things that I would love to highlight. There's not much, obviously, because we're just getting started, but I do want to point out just a few things to you. On page 12, want to point out that, I apologize, it's page... Okay, pointing out that we've had several tech times. This is something that's continuing at the library. These are one-on-one tech sessions that we are offering to our patrons by appointment. So this is something that's ongoing that has received a lot of patrons are just loving it, actually. So we're getting lots of comments and then lots of people wanting to sign up. In fact, we run into the fact that we are actually filling up and usually trying to look for ways to add more in order to accommodate the amount of use that people are taking advantage of in a good way from the library in order to get these expertise. If you haven't noticed, I'm happy to report to you that our library app is up and running, and it just happened as of yesterday. So if you go to Apple, you will be able to successfully search for the Novi Library and our app, download it, and that is our new way of connecting with our social media to many generations that are now used to that form of communication. Just launched yesterday. The reason for the delay was we did have some work with our TLN cooperative, a few things that we had to get through, and then we had some Apple issues, which sometimes happens. We were told that from the get-go that it can take a little longer just to get through that part, but very happy to report that that is now a go. And that came from some wonderful, generous donations from our friends of the Novi Library in order for that to happen, so I'm very proud of that. We also, as Dennis mentioned from the school board, we offered some wonderful book chats this summer as a partnership for our summer reading, so that is noted. And we have started a group, which I'm on page 14. We've started a group study room committee, and the purpose for this now, after being open 3 years, is we are looking at better ways to accommodate the many people who are using our group study rooms. So there will be a survey in September that we will be surveying people who use the rooms, how they use them, how long they tend to use the rooms, because we're looking to maximize the usage of the rooms as much as possible. Currently, our process is for just people can first come, first serve, and have the access to the rooms. We have 9 of them. But we wanted to be able to now look at, is there a way for maybe doing a reservation or something like that where we can accommodate more people throughout the day in order to have access to that room. We have many different users. We have the students at 2 o'clock that come over that are looking for group study space. We have tutors that use our rooms also. We have business people from the community who might use it for Skyping and doing interviews. So there's many different opportunities for people to use those rooms, and we want to be able to provide them in the best way we can to them. So I just wanted you to be aware of that, because I probably won't be bringing any policy to you, but I will be letting you know of some changes in procedure as September comes to an end and we look into October to hopefully implement something new. So that's, let's see. Then we also have on page 14, TLN Library's testing capability for online patron registration. I know this is something that came out of strategic planning, has been asked about for a couple of years now. So we are currently working with TLN, and we're hoping to see that new service available in the next few months. Hopefully by the end of the fall season, for us to be able to do online applications for a library card. So that's very exciting to us. Just another way to get out there and reach out quickly to our patrons and get a card in hand. But those are just a few of the things to highlight tonight.
Trustee Mena.
Yeah, Julie, would you mind highlighting just a few of the different type of tech topics that may have been covered here recently? I know you said they're one-on-one, just so the folks can get an understanding for what kind of help they can potentially come in for.
We always look for a person when they do register for a tech time to give us an idea of what they need. So it might be someone who has never created a table in Excel, as an example. Our staff has those capabilities to be able to sit down and show them how to create a table. So it might be something in Excel, one of the Microsoft Word Suite products. E-readers are probably one of the biggest right now. We have different e-readers that we can work with, or they can bring in their own. We show them how to download either our e-books, the music from Freegal. So those are some of the, and now Zinio with our magazines, those are some of the things that we're trying to teach them. And then they feel comfortable. They bring in their own device, and we've had a few minutes to sit down with them. Those are probably the 2 major topics. Mm-hmm. Anything else that I can answer this evening?
The library app, are you also going to do it for Android?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's being offered to all of the, most of the smartphones, and there weren't many that weren't part of the that option. So we're trying to get it out to as many of the smartphone types as possible.
How would
They didn't seem to have any that they couldn't do it for.
Oh, okay.
How would we search for that on the iPad? Do you know what the search word would be to use?
I believe it's Novi Library,
Okay.
yes. I think we tried to make it as simple as possible. I believe I haven't downloaded mine yet. I just heard that we could do it, so.
Okay.
But I know our electronic services librarian, Evan Smale, who was the person who, rallied and got us going and was on the forefront of putting this together, along with Barb from IT. They have successfully done it, and it's ready to go, so, yes. Let me know if you have any concerns. I'll be happy to work through that with you.
Do we have any ongoing costs associated with it?
Yes, there will be a hosting cost, but that's something that we've built into our IT budget over the next couple of years. But the initial startup costs were completely taken care of through the Friends of the Library.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Any other questions?
Trustee Kilgore asked the question that I had about
Great.
Androids.
Okay, very good.
Any
I
other
do believe it's
questions or
Novi
comments
Library.
from the trustees? Then I shall move on to item number 9, the treasurer's report. Trustee Checkeye could not be with us tonight. He had asked me if I could give a report, but Trustee Margolis has gone through this more thoroughly than I have. So I'm going to turn this over to Trustee Margolis to comment on the treasurer's report today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll find the new budget for the current fiscal year on pages 17 and 18. As we had approved going into this year, we knew that there would be reduced revenue. We believe we've hit the bottom, and going forward, things should improve. Just haven't seen tangible evidence of it yet. We were hoping to have June financials provided at this meeting. Those have not been done. But we did receive, however, July numbers, so I can comment on those. One of the things that you'll find on page 19 is a list of the 2012-2013 penal fine distribution report. Novi is in the middle of the page there. We made the top 10 in terms of the amount of penal fines that are allocable to us. And for those that are unaware, these are for the state troopers issuing tickets on the expressways within our jurisdiction.
Correct.
So good news, bad news. Bad news for the drivers that decided not to follow protocol, but thank you very much. Your contribution is put to use.
It's our Speed to Read campaign. We like it and hope to keep it.
So with respect then to item C, we don't have anything on the Walker Fund, so we'll only talk about the Library Fund number 268. With respect to the balance sheet going into the new fiscal year, there were some implied changes that, at least from my perspective, warrant further discussion, but absent having a final June 30th and fiscal June 2013 numbers, it's hard to know. As of the May 31st, we were still a couple $100,000 short of the anticipated tax revenues. There were some adjustments made here in the month of July to the accounts receivable taxes, and there was also an additional loss built into the beginning numbers of $32,789.83.
I've sent a request to City.
Okay. Just another little annoyance, there was a slight discrepancy in the beginning accounts payable, $978.90. But going into the month of July, we find that our cash went up, but the tax receivables go down.
Right.
We also have a temporary tax receivable, the account 268-000-040.050, account receivable BSA, that's for the Novi Township. So that's set up as an accrual for the beginning of the year. One would expect July 1st starts a new fiscal year, that we would have had all of the assessed taxes credited. That hasn't been done yet. So we're actually showing a deficit for the month of July, when in fact normally it's the biggest year because all the taxes are loaded up front and the expenditures follow. So we're already starting in the hole, but don't freak out about it. It'll get corrected. So moving to the revenues and expenses. In terms of property tax revenue, we got a charge of $420. Should be $2.5 million being credited to us. Again, I anticipate that being fixed next month's meeting. With respect to the $73,540 that we got here on the penal fines, that's very close, but a little bit short of the budget amount of $76,000. I don't know if we will receive anything else this fiscal year or whether it'll be a shortfall to carry forward
For the penal fines?
for the penal fines.
That is what we will receive, so it is a shortfall, unfortunately.
Okay. In terms of other revenues, as I said, the Novi Township assessment of $7,449.76 is recorded. We had estimated $5,800, so I guess we offset the shortfall in the penal fines with the assistance of the people in Novi Township. There was meeting room rentals over $2,000 during the month, $2,130 to be specific. So total revenues for the month of July are $92,784, or 3.81% of the budget. Going to our expenditures, I assume it was a 4-week payroll month, so we're well under the normal allocation of salaries. But one thing did jump out at me, account 716000, insurance. We only got charged with $310. That doesn't make sense. It should be like 14, 15
Right,
grand.
right.
So I don't know if a bill got
That's-
missed or
It's another question that comes straight from the city, so, yep, that I haven't,
okay.
I
So
haven't
I
received.
would expect when you
Yep.
get to August, they'll double up and play catch up there. That being said, what has been recorded in terms of personal services, $91,470.65. That's 5.02% of the budget. In the category of expenditures for materials and supplies, we have a total of $48,030. The only line item that looks a little out of line is the office supplies, so I don't know if you front-loaded any.
Twice a year, we purchase our paper, and so we do that right at the beginning, and then we do it again in January, so that's why you're seeing a larger amount
Okay.
there.
So even though we budgeted $16,000 for the whole
Right.
year, you'll see $35.15 charged in the month of July, but it'll be lower going forward.
Correct.
Total amount expended, $48,030.29, or 9.89% of the budget. There were no capital expenditures recorded. With respect to services and charges, a few timing things, membership and dues. Of the $5,500 that we allocated for the whole year, we spent $27.44, or a little over half, in the month of July.
Correct.
But again, it's probably
Right.
coverage throughout the year.
It is. It's actually our Michigan Library Association membership for our employees, and that always comes up in the summer.
Another line item that caught my attention, $851,000 for telephone expense. We only got hit with $72. I wish,
Yeah, haven't seen the bill.
I'm sure that one will come back up. And then
Unless we got a good plan.
lastly, account 910000 for the property and liability insurance. We budgeted $12,800 for the year. And again, it's front-loaded, but we got hit with a charge of $13,668, or additional $800 that we hadn't budgeted for.
Correct.
Total in the category, $41,554, or 9.96%. Adding all the expenditures together, it's $181,055, with only $92,784 of revenue. Therefore, we have a deficit start to the year of $88,271.20. There was no library cafe report. However, we were given a recent health inspection report.
Yes, you were.
Did you want to address that at all?
Sure. I actually had a meeting with Gary Bernstein, the owner of the cafe, on Friday, and he had just received that report, so I was able to include it. There were a couple of notations that were in the report. The first one I'd like to call to your attention, which actually, it's in regard to a certified food service manager is a requirement of the Oakland County Sanitary Code. Both Gary and then a former employee, which has since left the cafe, were certified food service managers. The only thing that has to be redone is Gary has to go ahead and re-up his certification, which he has until the 29th of September to do that, which he will be doing. You only need one on site. He had two at the beginning of our opening 3 years ago, but there's just one needed.
How much is the cost of the registration?
That I do not know. It's something that he pays for. But
I
I can,
understand, but my suggestion is if it's a nominal fee, maybe that's something we could cover in good faith
I could find out from
Just
him,
to
actually.
keep him certified.
I think it's less a cost, but I think you have to have certain educational or historical to get the certification. I don't think you can just get the certification by paying for it. I think you need some experience. There's
No,
some tests to go.
no, I'm sure that he's the one, but I'm sure there's an app fee that goes along with it. If it's a nominal fee,
I will definitely look into it.
I would just suggest that, he's a partner of ours and he's
Right.
been with us for several years.
And then just a couple of things that were noted in terms of some discarding of food, which was addressed during the interview when they stopped in, and some cleaning, which they also will be addressing, which was noted. And I typically follow up with the health department just to get my own feedback, and in the past, it's always been good response when I've reached out to them, so.
Trustee Verma.
This sheet, this building maintenance, we had 55,500. Could you roughly tell me what is involved in this building maintenance?
I can give you a breakdown and send you something, but right off at the top
Okay.
of my head, it's a lot of,
Sure.
it's HVAC, it's a number of things.
Okay.
It's elevator,
Yeah,
it's.
Give me the
yeah,
detail, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Going back, if I could, for a minute, in regard to the penal fines. If anybody knows, at one time I always thought these penal fines were sort of based on our district, like fines in Novi. As I look at
Oakland
this,
County.
as I look at this list, it's a much more regional based, because it seems like the cities or the municipalities are dividing this up purely on a per capita basis based on their population. Is it the entire state?
It's
or is it?
Oakland County. It's specific to Oakland County.
But you look at some of the libraries in here, these are libraries that are even outside of Oakland County. That's why, there's some Washtenaw, there were some from Wayne. And so I was a little confused. I thought the district was either the city of Novi or Oakland County, but if you look at the list, there's some Washtenaw County and Wayne. So it's not critical, of course, but I just didn't understand really what the district is.
Well, is Northville listed in there?
As
Okay.
Wayne. They got Northville listed as
Okay.
Wayne.
Northville is both Oakland County and Wayne based on where their dividing lines are, where the lines are. So they might be sharing, if you're looking at some of those communities, it might be that they're actually sharing a touch or a portion of Oakland
Oh,
County.
well, that would make sense,
Yes.
because then from Salem, South Line.
Right.
They're partly Washtenaw, but they're
Correct.
partly Oakland.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so this would represent really their population in Oakland County.
Yes.
Even though they're in multiple counties.
That is correct.
That makes sense, okay. So it's an Oakland County
It is.
district. Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
May I make one other observation?
Sure.
And this is in deference to trustee Mena. When we started last year, we had authorized a fund balance draw of up to $305,000. We were tracking ahead of it. During our budgetary sessions, we agreed upon a stipend reward. and you had asked to make sure that we didn't exceed our prior authorization. Based upon the information presented, which I don't have any details for, they're projecting the total fund balance for last year to be about 251,000. So still over 50 grand below what we had authorized.
Thank you.
And then I have another sort of common question, and
Sure.
then it's related to, you know, for the month of July, as trustee Margolis indicated, we don't show any property, or we show de minimis property tax revenue from Novi. But is that done on an accrual basis, do you think, or is that done on an actual cash basis? Because although the taxes are really due in July, there's a lot of people, myself included, that don't actually pay them until prior to the penalty, which would be August 30. So if they're really done on a cash basis, I can understand.
Historically, they've always been
Accrued as of.
What should be coming in is what they typically give you, what should be accepted.
Okay,
Yes.
well, and in that case, they should be reflected in July, because they would at least have a number that they expect to come in.
They
Even though they don't, okay. I wasn't sure.
But we don't even have June yet to close last year, because it won't be until the audit is done.
Correct. Our
all
final,
of
was it
the-
August 10th, Marcia? Yes, August 10th was our final date to turn in anything related to the 2012-13 fiscal year. So they've just, that was last week. So they're just getting those final audits. And I actually had a conversation with Victor Cardenas today, who's sitting in right now currently as the financial officer, and he is working on them. I did ask when we might see library stuff, but I do understand that we're small potatoes compared to some of the other departments that need that information. But he was aware that we would like it, and as soon as possible. I let him know that we're working on our
Again, it
annual
wouldn't be
report.
so bad if we did not have a presentation made, I believe, at the April meeting.
Correct.
With the expectation that there was going to be another $190,000 worth of tax revenues credited to the
Right.
library that we haven't seen evidence of
Right.
yet.
And I guess, and for my clarification purpose, I would have understood the August 10 date to be for purposes of the final end of the year audit.
But for
a-
July.
As opposed to just the month of June. I mean, the month of June might not be, whatever's recorded in June.
Well, I thought you got June. Yeah, June came out. I was on vacation for the meeting, but I know that the June financials all came out.
And we didn't get credited with the extra tax revenues that we had been led to believe were
Led
going
to
to be
believe.
assessed.
Okay, but you have seen June financials, because I can resend them, but I do have them.
I do not remember
I
getting.
will be
them.
happy
Now,
to,
I may be
I have
mistaken,
them,
but
but
I
I
do
will be
not
happy to send them
remember getting
tomorrow, absolutely. Yep, right away. I know that they came out, I think maybe the day of the meeting. You were waiting for them to. At the meeting you did?
No.
Okay, they came after,
Yeah.
okay, but they were sent out, okay. I will make sure everyone gets another copy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions in regard to treasurer's report? Thank you, trustee Margolis, for filling in at the last minute, doing that report. Director's report, item number 10.
Okay, well, we've had our winners and awards, so that was the first thing on my list. The second is obviously our movie premiere that we are hosting at the library this Saturday evening on the 24th at 7 o'clock. I brought my visual because I think we're showing this on cable. So we're very excited to have this California film company coming in. They approached the Novi Library, the Royal Oak Theater will also be showing the movie this week, and then also up in Grand Rapids, so 3 locations in the state of Michigan. We're pretty excited. Ticket sales are going well. I'd hoped for more, but we're definitely over the 50 in attendance at this point. Tickets are still on sale. They can buy them the night of the event as well. 50% of the proceeds will go back to the library, so we're working with them to provide it as a fundraiser. And we will have popcorn, and our cafe will be open that evening for refreshments. So we're trying to make it very much a theater feel for the event. It's about a 90-minute film, rated PG-13, so younger teenagers can attend and are welcome to. And then there will be a Q&A with the film director, Denny Tedesco, so we're very excited about that as well. I think it'll be a great evening, and people will enjoy something a little different being offered by the library, so we hope that people will come out. Then we, great news, I think, for the marketing end and PR for the library. We've been asked by our cable station and SWAC team to do monthly Beyond Books cable interviews, I guess you could call it. And so Margie Karp-Oper and myself and Christina Salvatore, who's our new communications person, we're going to rotate and be the hosts of that show so that we can do a monthly show now and have more timely information for the public, and those will be shown on a regular basis now. So we really do appreciate working with SWAC and their team. They are fantastic. So that just allows us to get more information out and much more quickly. We were doing them quarterly in the past, so this will be a big change for us. Then the management team, I actually took the team to Troy for a wonderful conference on personality clashes in the workforce, and I provided you with some of the feedback that came from the actual one-day conference, and we enjoyed the time, to work on these, and we've started talking now about how to be looking for these things and to be aware of them and to improve them, obviously, in the library. So it was good for us to be away as a smaller team. On page 24, that is the press release and all of the information that relates to our community read this year. And I did bring a copy of the book. I'm happy to report to you that we own 40 copies and all of them are checked out. And that was as of last Thursday, the 15th. So you can reserve the book, put it on hold. And then as we see those holds, if there's a larger demand, we'll be buying more copies because we do want to meet the demand for the community. The 4 other libraries that are joining us are Wixom, Salem South Lyon, Lyon Township, and Northville. So they do have copies of the book as well and multiples. And then we look forward to Mark Benelli, who is the author of Detroit City is the Place to be at the Novi Library on November 14th. It's a Thursday evening, and he will be speaking hopefully to a crowd of 200 as we can accommodate that. And registration has already started, so if you are interested in being at the event, I hope that you will register and make sure that you get your name on our list. We have some programs that will also lead up to this. We do book discussions, so if anyone is interested in joining us for a book discussion about it, the library will host a couple of those as well as the other libraries that we partner with. And then we also will do a program on Fred Sanders Confectionery and the Saunders Hot Fudge business, which obviously was Detroit owned and run. And so that will be at the end of September if you're looking for a Detroit related program and obviously in relation to the book. So we've got, I'm sorry?
Are they providing samples?
I don't know about that. Sure would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Would that sweeten the deal? But so that we're very excited about this author. We, the committee, when we sat down last spring, felt that this would be a good time to bring out a Detroit-related book, knowing what's going on, and we do believe that it'll be a very good discussion. So for the next 12 weeks, we will be encouraging all of our communities to read, and I hope you will join us in that reading as well. Thank you. Then page 25. I needed to show you this because this is how crazy it can get in our sorting room. And this was the day that we actually had to close because of the heat and unfortunately the HVAC system. But that was what was coming into a weekend of not being open on Sunday. So I'm happy to report we look forward to Sundays being open. As you can see, our patrons are checking out and returning materials, and we do get inundated with lots of stuff. So this team has done a fantastic job. Summer reading is our busiest time of the year. And we had over 2,000 people register for summer reading this year, along with just our normal readers, and they do a very good job of putting the books, right back on the shelf within a 24-hour. It's actually less than that, but because of this and us being shut down for a little bit, they had all of these materials back on the shelf within 24 hours, which I thought was fantastic. So you're talking thousands of items that have to be recorded in and then reshelved. And that's all I have for my report. I have a couple policies that we will talk about. Then we have, there is the public service report. As you can see, lots of great programming that we had. This is page 29 that we offered for the month of July. And then got ready to wrap up for our summer reading, which we did the first week of August. There was a request, and I believe that was from trustee Checkeye last month, to see a comparison for friends groups. And Margie Karp-Operer did put that information together for you, so you can see kind of where we compare to other friends groups, some class 5 and some class 6 libraries that are in relation to us. And then our building operations report. Obviously, we're working on the HVAC, the filters have been ordered, we're moving forward with all of that, with the problem that we had in August. And the read box is also doing very well in our parks, so we've been filling that, and that's our support services department. They've gone through and have done a lot of extensive cleaning over the summer, and carpet tiles that have been replaced, and then also carpets that have been cleaned, and that's just because of the amount of usage over the summer months. So that also has been taken care of. The statistics, moving on. If you look at page 32, this will give you an idea of how many cards were issued in July, which was 477. We're seeing a lot of cards being issued, and that's because, you know, we're going to be requiring the card in September as of the 3rd to have service at the library. I want to note that this has been very positive. We've not received much negative response from the patrons in terms of the library card being asked for and required for service. We've been doing this campaign since March, and then the new added feature is we not only have a library card and we have a key tag, but we also now have scanners, new scanners at all of our checkouts, so that you can go home and use an app to download your library card number to have the barcode in your phone, and we can scan your library card barcode from your phone, and it's just another application, another way for you to have your card on hand. We figure people either have keys or phone at this point. I really think those are two critical pieces that people are keeping with them, so we're hoping that between the two, they will always have their library card available when they need service. And we'll be starting that as of September 3rd. We also start our new hours as of that week. Our first Friday will occur right after September 3rd, and our Saturday being open till 6 o'clock. And then we start our new Sunday hours from noon until 6, and then we look forward to the 2014 summer where we can be open during the summer as well. So I'm very excited about that. So lots of good things to be looking forward to for September. It's also Library Card Sign-Up Month. So we've been talking with the schools. It's National Library Card Sign-Up Month. We have a school we're going out to, fall for Novi. We will actually be there registering for library cards if patrons need them. And then you heard me talk about the application that will be coming online, hopefully by the end of fall time. Page 33, 37,620 people in the building for that month, which is quite busy for July. And you can see high self-checkout usage of 63% for July as well, and total circulation of over 83,000 materials during that month. A couple new categories. We have our computer logins, obviously, that I'm showing you, and our early literacy. These are statistics that we continue to track, along with the tech time. Trustee Mena, you had asked about how the different ways that tech times are being used, and this kind of spells out for you all the different categories of how we've helped people during tech times on page 35. And then on page 36, that shows you our checkouts. This is consortium checkouts. This is Freegal, Overdrive, and Zinio. So I wanted you to see some new downloadable statistics that we're now tracking. Freegal is our downloadable music. Overdrive is our ebooks, and Zinio is our magazines. So you can now see how that usage is being used, and we'll be tracking that for the year and start to gain those new statistics. Then there was a request also to be monitoring our charging stations and how that usage is going, and that's on page 37. So as you can see that we actually were able to go back and provide some back years in usage, just based on the reports that we had already received from the company. So you can see where we're standing so far from 11-12 and 12-13 in terms of the usage of the charging stations for the library. And then meeting room rentals, we wanted to start showing you how much how many rentals. So in July, how many days are in July? So there were 31 days in July and we had 29 rentals. It's almost a rental a day, depending on the room. But I think that's, and I know we have different rooms, but that's pretty good rental.
Is it possible to expand it to include the average patron attendance
Attendance?
for each of these occurrences?
I could probably I can get those statistics of just attendance for those 29. I can do 29 rooms in attendance, absolutely. Yep. We're already tracking it. Happy to add that. And that is all I have for my report. Any questions?
I have a question in regard to the picture that you showed us of the overflowing books.
Yes.
And, that was the Monday after the weekend. I know that sometimes on Sundays, when we were closed, the bins didn't quite accommodate anything. Other than that period on
Yes.
Sundays, which we should be eliminating now as we generally open on Sunday, the bins and the replacement bins were adequate to take care of
They are.
the books dropped off at night
Yes.
or in the morning?
Yes.
Okay.
This was a huge exception.
Right.
Absolutely. But the great thing about it is if the AST does fill, if all if all five, there's 5 bins, if all 5 bins fill, it does shut down, so it lets people know to use the backup. And that's what that is that's the backup drop.
Okay.
So, but it was because of the circumstances of the building.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
Trustee Burma.
Julie, going back to page 31, building operations. I just want to ask you, do we have any schedules? Now, library is over 3-year-old. Do we have our schedule when we are going to change the carpet, tiles? We have to do painting and all those type of things.
Yes, we
Do
have regular
schedule?
schedules for all of those, yes.
Do we have a schedule?
Yes,
I want to see that. please.
okay.
Because I want to say that to the board. My experience is that when we took over the building, I was insisting, did we take over the building totally right? Did engineer give us all the maintenance? Yes.
They did.
I found nothing. Ma'am, we don't have a schedule given by the engineer when we had to change the filter, engineer didn't give us that. And we were told yes at that time. We couldn't find anything. I talked to our buildings facility manager, I talked to Barb, they couldn't find anything. That's what the problem is. Because I want to see that.
Well, we have a schedule. From the library, we've created a schedule. That's what
You
I'm
have a
answering.
schedule, but the point is when we
Yes.
took over from the engineers, I was specifically asking you that time. Did we have all the things? Yes, we have it, but we couldn't find it.
Okay,
So that's what I'm saying. I want to see that.
okay.
Because when we are going to change our carpet, because we need the budget in that particular year.
Well, we have warranty information, and that's what gave us the
Ma'am,
lifetime
there's
of
a change of warranty than the schedules. Our engineers who was working, they didn't do the right thing. They didn't do the right thing, I'm telling you,
Okay.
because that's what it happens. Had we known that, we would have known. And even our maintenance engineers, those who are coming, they did a boo-boo job there too. They didn't tell our staff, hey, this filters has to be changed. They should have advised our staff. They didn't.
Well, we knew that there was a lifetime for the filters.
If
Which-
you knew, then why didn't you change it?
Because at the time, they had told us that the filters still looked good when we had our report in May.
When did they tell you?
Yes.
They didn't tell you.
Yes,
Extended filters were not told. They were all clogged up. That's what I'm saying. I'm asking Barb, I'm asking her. They said they never told us. These engineers, those who come.
but we did know how long those filters lasted, and they were telling us that there was no report of any residue on the filters when we had the report done in May. And I know that was information that was,
How it happened in June, July then? If they in May said no, and then
and
it happened.
that's what we questioned with them, yes,
And then the engineer says, now they are not accepting their responsibility.
correct.
They were supposed to tell our staff that these are clogged, and they didn't check it. And now, when we were getting the new filters,
Do you have a date yet for?
because we are running our HVAC system half in, half
Correct.
no.
As
That's a
far
wrong
as I
thing.
understand, they've been
Because
ordered
all the
and it
dirt
should be
will be
this week.
going in now. So it will be a great damage to the whole HVAC system. Please find out when we are getting, we have to put in seriously. This is a serious thing.
We moved very quickly on it in order to get it moving.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm trustee Margolis.
With respect to the comment you made about the staff putting away a lot of the material within 24 hours, that begged the question from me. We had a problem when we took over possession of the building. We had a problem with the scanners and the metal shelving.
Yes,
We were supposed to get some type of offset credit or service.
we did.
Did
We
we?
actually,
Okay.
and we purchased different equipment in its place. We don't have scanning equipment that does that because it didn't work.
Correct, but it helped facilitate
It
being
did.
able to process
Yes.
this
Actually,
level of activity in
you are
such a
correct.
short period.
We were able to actually order some additional bins that would work with the system in order to make things move and flow more. Yes.
Thank you.
Trustee Nunn.
On a different note, I just wanted to say, Julie, again, regarding some of the comments you had earlier on the movie that we're hosting here in the library on Saturday, I went ahead and took the time to watch the trailer for that. I don't know if my fellow board members have anyway. I found it a real compelling, and I went ahead and bought a couple tickets, so
Great.
I do plan on attending here Saturday night.
And it is, if you can see on our website, you can view the trailer right from the website, so it does give people a link to look at it. A lot of great music, because it's based on the LA music from the 60s and 70s, and this group of musicians that worked with all of these very well-known singers and musicians.
In the background, basically, so they
Yes.
were sort of the anonymous folks behind the
Right.
scene.
They probably didn't get a lot of credit, and now they
Right.
are. People are bringing it to the forefront.
My thoughts in regard to the HVAC system. I don't remember what the original engineers were supposed to turn over in terms of a schedule for ongoing maintenance, so I can't really comment on that because I don't recall that. But I think I have the same concern as trustee Verma does in connection with our current consultants, in terms of if they gave a report in May that said those filters were fine,
Right, there was no
Yes.
indication.
and staff legitimately relied on those.
Yes.
Would have no reason not to rely on those.
Correct.
And the lifetime of those filters is generally 1 or 2 years.
Right.
And normally, when you open a facility, the first year is maybe kind of the roughest because you've accumulated a lot of construction debris and dust and stuff like that. So I would expect the first time they have to be replaced to be on the earlier side, not on the later side. So I have some concerns
Sure.
about our current consultant. If they actually gave us a report in May that said no need to replace these filters, which are now 3 years old, that normally have to be replaced within 1 or 2 years, and I understand our reliance on them, but I do have a question as to why they would make that recommendation and whether or not they really inspected them or someone just, checked off some
And
ports.
that's what we don't know. I mean, I can't say for sure if they actually looked at them. I mean, I should back up and say that they didn't actually say, no, they don't need to be replaced. There was nothing written like that. It's just, they would have wrote something up had there needed to be something replaced. So there was no indication at that point.
But I personally would be looking more towards our current service
Right.
provider than
And
an
whether
original
it's-
engineer that hasn't had to be involved in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what they gave us, it's really our current service provider is who we should be relying on and depending on in terms of ongoing maintenance, because that's what we're paying them for to service it now.
Right. I do believe it's the same company though, right? That actually did the initial, yeah. We are dealing with the same company that did the initial build and put the HVAC system together.
Just to qualify that, when I checked it with Barb and Mary, went to the site, engineers, those who come, they do oiling to the motors and this and that type of thing. They did not check this extended filters. I know they have not checked those. If had they seen that, engineer would have said, we had to change that, because these are costly one, $3,000 to $5,000.
Right.
They would have been benefited by that, but they did not see that. That's what I was asking Barb the other day. She said, I don't know whether they have seen it or not. And our staff tried that to vacuum it and
They
clean
did.
it, but it didn't work out.
Correct.
But the point I'm concerned is, half the clogged one are still there, half were taken out. But it is, we had to replace it immediately, because otherwise dirt will go inside the building.
Right, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we moved very quickly once we knew to replace them, so we're just waiting for them to be received. That was on the 15th, so we're looking at about a 2-week time frame in terms of purchase and delivery.
Now I'm trying to clarify, the engineers that service it now were the company that services it now was the company that installed it?
Correct?
Oh, okay, not the overall engineers of the building, but just the
No, but the
specific,
specific, yes.
specific consultant.
The
that is-
subcontractor, the subcontractor.
Well, you know, I don't, any finger they point is gonna be pointing towards themselves.
Right,
I mean, if they're pointing to the original consultant or the current, they somehow have to have all the fingers pointing at themselves.
That's why they are not owning it. Barb has talked to them, and they are not owning it, that we didn't check and this and that, they are just goofing around. And secondly, I requested Barb and Mary that we should go other 3 contractors locally, and which they are getting the quotations.
we have,
So that we can work on that. It's not that because they installed it, they are the good one, because we have to go find out some other contractors. So that's what they are doing it.
I guess for me, a bigger question is the role of governance of the board versus staff administration. We have to set the tone and provide the resources for the library staff to operate the facility. Now, whether they possess the inherent knowledge, skills, or experience to be able to take on the major systems of the building or the landscaping or whatever, we rely upon library management to advise us.
yes.
If there's any shortfalls, we may need to look for a third party or an outside consultant or whatever. This is now the second issue. We've dealt with landscaping, and we've had some issue, and we've had some responsiveness.
Sure.
Now we've had an HVAC system, and again, it's the incumbent provider that is at issue here. My question is, and I apologize for taking so long to get there, to what extent do we dictate down to staff versus render opinions or suggestions in terms of how they proceed? Or do we need to see tangible evidence that they're doing, whether it's getting
Right.
competitive bids or whatever, they're doing the proper analysis to make sure that these things don't become bigger budgetary issues in the future? It's a gray issue, and I'm just curious,
Oh,
as chair, what you want the role of the board to be here. So I don't want you to feel that we're grilling you, but on the other hand.
really?
No, because it,
I tell you, my personal, I asked the permission last time. My personal, when I go there, I want to assist.
absolutely.
I'm not dictating them what to do. I'm assisting them to help them, so that with my expertise and them, so work it out something. If you people think that I'm going to dictate, no, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm not going to dictate.
Not you individually. I'm talking about us collectively, to what extent it's our job to ask the questions.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's your job to
And
get
it's-
the
and-
answers. But
Yep.
when it comes down to, so now there's finger pointing and we're not
Right.
sure if this is, the right contractor or not. At what time do we intercede and suggest a plan B, or just say, just report back to us?
Well, and this is my opinion, but my opinion, we're a board, and we set policy and we set general policies and general set budgets and things of that sort. I think we as a board are concerned highly whenever we have to close the library for any reason. And that's why we're highly, I don't think we're suggesting or telling the staff exactly what to do with this
No.
contractor or the service provider or getting another service provider. I think we are concerned about what happened because of the effect of
And
closing
which
the library.
is
And
makes
so
perfect
I
sense.
think this is just information going back and forth. I don't see the board telling staff exactly how to solve this problem.
Right.
I think staff will figure out how to solve this problem or come back to us and say, we have to change something or do
Right.
something, or we need more money to that. So I'm comfortable that staff is going to create a solution or address this issue in an appropriate way, but I think it's high on everybody's mind, so.
It
we're having
is,
this
and,
discussion.
and with having to close the building, I just felt it was my duty to provide you all the information I could as to why it happened and where we are. And obviously with it being a budgetary concern, because based on us having our budgetary meetings, last winter and not expecting this cost, that's why I want to bring it to you. I mean, typically I don't bring to the board anything that's, that's under $15,000 typically. But I find that you should know this because, as we go through the year, and for this particular issue, when it comes to building maintenance, I'm starting to eat through some of that budget a lot quicker than I probably would be already just a month, not even 2 months into the new fiscal year. So I feel it's important for you to know some of these things up front and know what's going on. I'm very confident with the staff and how they're handling the situation. I mean, the HVAC system, we've moved forward. The filters have been ordered. We're waiting. I mean, aside from driving to wherever they are to get them, I mean, that's all I can do is wait for them to be shipped, know when they're going to be shipped, place the order, which we did, and then we will get them installed as fast. We know that this is a critical issue for the library, and we're moving as fast as we can to take care of it, as we would do with any issue that comes up.
We appreciate that.
Sure.
Trustee Kilgore.
One thing you might ask the contractor when those fillers get replaced is if you might want to move towards a schedule of
Yes.
staggering.
We are.
Oh, okay.
We're doing that, and we're planning ahead just for when we know, budgetary for the future, what we'll be planning for replacement. Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of things actually that we probably can do with that. Any other questions related to the board, the director's report?
Any other questions?
Great.
No other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've just finished with the director's report. We see that Senator Cowell has just stepped in. So we will go back on our agenda and move back to item number 6C, which is the presentation, and Senator Mike Cowell's here representing the 15th Senate District.
Well, I know Representative Crawford is right behind me, so
Oh, should we wait?
if you wouldn't mind if we could just wait a minute, because I know he'd like to be
We,
standing.
we have intentionally put this agenda in an adjustable form, so this item can be taken at any time. And I just seen you come in, so,
I like flexible boards.
okay. In some areas, we're flexible. In that case, director's report is complete. Let's move on to item number 11, additional reports, which you've already
Which we
covered as
have,
well
yes,
within the director's.
absolutely. The
Friends
next,
of the Library, item 12.
yes. So you have a draft, which I want to make sure, because this has not been approved yet, but you have a draft from their July meeting. They did take their August meeting, they did not have one for August, so you won't see an approval until September. But very good information that was provided in terms of what the board, the Friends Board is doing at this time. They talked about a couple things. One, they're looking at doing something different with maybe their gala or their patio party, so I wanted you to be aware of that. They haven't actually decided what that will be for their fundraiser that they typically have. They are looking to work with a company that when they have their excess donated books, And when they don't need them for the Friends sale, they have a company now that they've contacted that is in the suburbs of Detroit, just outside, I believe it's in the Southgate area, that they're going to be working with them to put these books online. And hopefully there will be some sales from that will be generated for the Friends. So hopefully some additional revenue. And they have a couple people that are interested in doing that for the group. They also talked about, which I was very pleased, they approved to go away with their scholarship for the Friends, and instead they're going to support the library with our intern program that we won a grant this past summer. In fact, that was another thing that Jen Preston had done for the library, was to initiate a grant where we actually paid 2 teenagers, and they are to my right. Z and Jessica were paid this summer to be in charge of the volunteers and working with the volunteers and their schedules. We had close to 100 teen volunteers this summer helping with summer reading. So they received a small stipend based on a grant that we got from the Dollar General store. Well, the Friends now have decided that they're going to be giving us so that we can keep this program going and be able to work with teenagers and provide some money for their help. They're going to be giving us that money to do that annually. So we'll be looking for teenagers each summer that might be interested in that intern program. And then I wanted to note on page 41, a thank you to our friends that we had written and put into the Novi News for all their fantastic work and obviously their advocacy that they provide and their generous donations that they provide over the years that they've done and what they did this past year, which was absolutely amazing. So just a note to that as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Question, trustee Kilgore.
Just to return to the Friends for a second, I noticed on the comparison that you had put together that the bottom line in terms of what we get from the Friends is really on the low side of all of our neighbors here and others that are comparable to us. So I'm just wondering, perhaps somebody like Farmington, maybe it'd be worthwhile if you and I take off and go visit the president of the Friends at the Farmington and to see just what it is that they're doing to achieve those kinds of results.
I would love to do that. Very good.
Thank you.
That's not to minimize the
No,
existing
absolutely.
contributions, which we appreciate
Oh,
greatly.
most
Yes.
definitely, yes.
Let's go to the student representative report, item number 12 on our agenda.
Alright, so, July was one of our strongest summers with attendance, and we had lots and lots of, compliments for our program, so it'll be hard to live up to it next summer. And then, we had a lot of programs because of our summer reading program, so we had the Hot Summer Movie, where we watched Oz the Great and Powerful, and then we had the See a Juggler, Be a Juggler program, and the Birds of Prey event, and they were all really successful with a good attendance.
We also had a Make Your Own Terrarium program, which was very unique because we got to learn how to garden. And we had a geocaching workshop, also to do with nature, where we learned the ins and outs of geocaching. Both of these events had good attendance. And for the volunteers over the summer, we would like to give a big thank you to all of volunteers who came out to help with the summer reading program. This month, we had a total of 90 teen volunteers who helped keep this program running smoothly.
Thank you, thank you. Any question for our student reps? If not, I'm going to go back and do the adjustment to the schedule. See that Representative Crawford has joined us. At this time, I'd like to ask Senator Mike Cole to go to the podium. Representative Crawford
And Representative Hugh Crawford. I'd also like to introduce and bring up Mary Ellen Mulcrone as well, Assistant Director of Public Operations. Okay.
We were with the governor just about 10 minutes ago, and you know, when you're with the top guy, it has a tendency to suck all the air out of the room, so Representative Crawford and I are still catching our breath. But you know, it's always a pleasure to meet up with the libraries, and libraries have a very important role in my life in that when I was growing up, my parents didn't have a lot of money. So what they did was they spent a lot of time with all 4 kids, and we spent a lot of time at the Burton Collection down in Detroit, later on at the Cheney Library out in northwest Detroit. And we just grew up in libraries. And so did our two daughters. My oldest one, Marissa, is now a master's degree school teacher and knows the importance of having good libraries and good resources available. When we moved out to White Lake Township, back about 30 years ago, we moved from Farmington Hill, or at those days it was Farmington Township, and they had a very good library. It's a fabulous library. And White Lake, we went there and the book was out that day, you know, and so began the mission of my mother's life to help grow and make White Lake's library better. And if you ever go in there, there's a tree on the wall, and you'll notice that one of the leaves has her name on it, because she felt it was so important that when she did pass away that money was left to help establish a fund in there so that young people had a place to go. But it's just a little bit of my background, but this is about the successes that you've achieved at the library here in Novi. And Representative Crawford, you want to read some of this?
No, I won't read it, but I will say that Mike and I could be coming to every library board meeting and giving some sort of a tribute to this library because of people like the staff and the library board members. This library is by far, I don't see one better in Michigan, and I'm not saying that because it's my library, but it's true. The programs they offer, the facility itself. Novi built that library, as you all know. I'm probably telling Mike this more than anybody else, but Novi built that library when other libraries were closing throughout the state. And Novi, the citizens, had the foresight to fund it and build it, and it's a beautiful library. So this tribute for all the things you've done, there's a list of them here. I'm not going to read them, but congratulations, and we'll see you next meeting with another one. So, thank you.
Thank you very much for all your hard work, and it's really a pleasure to see you bringing young people into the library and as paid interns. That's always a bonus. That's like frosting on the cupcake. And I'm sure these 2 young ladies have done a stellar job. You know, they seem to be very excited and motivated, but they have to have good motivators. So I can tell that you've done that. But let me present this to you. And it's something that you can hang in the library, and we're proud to be signed by both Representative Crawford and myself.
Thank you both.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to say something.
Sure.
Only because this really was a 2-year process and a labor of love for us, for our library. QSEC is the Quality Services Audit Checklist, and it's through the Library of Michigan that we receive this. Thank you so much. And this is the essential level. We have 2 more levels that we will achieve to make sure that we get to over the next couple of years. But Mary Ellen Mulcrone, my Assistant Director of Building Operations, truly deserves the recognition for this. This has been her baby for the last 2 years, checking in with me on a regular basis, letting me know where we are and what we still had to accomplish, companies that we might have needed to work with, disaster plans, technology plans, all those types of things that had to be in place, strategic plan, all of these things had to be in place in order to get us here. So Mary Ellen, I very much thank you for all the time and all the effort that I know that you put into this, and I know Barb Rutkowski from IT also helped you a lot on this project as well. So this does go to her too, so I'm going to let her take it with her tonight, and we'll make sure we put it up, and then we get ready for those next 2 levels. She knows she's on her way to creating the next 2 levels that we have to reach, but it also is a big part of the board that you were aware of this and your support, and I thank you for that, knowing that we were working on this, and we will continue to do that for you as well and make sure we reach those 2 additional levels, and we thank you both for being here this evening.
We'll be here to deliver.
Great. Thank you.
And Lynn would have wanted to be here, but her daughter's getting married, so.
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cowell. Thank you, Representative Crawford, for taking time out of your busy schedules to present that. We appreciate the representation that you're doing for us locally and in Lansing. And once again, thank you very much for taking the time to make the presentation
You're doing
tonight.
a great job here, it shows. It really does show. So you're easy to represent because you do make us proud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Item number 13, Historical Commission.
This is their June minutes. I haven't received anything from July yet, and I just want to point out one very important thing in these minutes, that currently, and it began July 1st, but it runs through August 31st, there is a Civil War display that is in our historical cabinet, which is located on the first floor. So I just want people to be aware of it. It's something that was brought in from the Detroit Historical Museum, so it is on loan to us and for our patrons to enjoy. And we hope that people will take the time in order to stop by and see that exhibit.
That is really a history, actually. I saw that. That's beautiful.
They have some fantastic artifacts.
Very, very old thing, but
Yes.
it is very fantastic.
We're very, very happy to have it with us until the end of August. And that's all I have for Historical Commission.
Any committee reports?
There are none, but I'd like to just highlight one thing and bring your attention to it. If you look at F, I have now changed it to Building/Landscape Committee, because with the things that we've been talking about and some of the issues that we've been addressing, I think it warrants having that change. And then we will be working with that committee, because I know we have a few things to bring you up to speed on with the building and what's going on. So just wanted to make sure you saw that.
One suggestion,
Yes.
why not you change it to the Facilities Committee?
Well-
That take care of everything. Facilities and campuses, everything.
I kind of see
Building
facility
as
as
well.
building.
Building and landscape, everything. The facilities is part of this. Everything will be in that.
It's-
That's my suggestion to the board.
Well, I think somewhere we have in our documents or something that we've agreed these are the standing committees. And I mean, so if we're going to change the name, I think we have to get back to that specific document that
Yeah,
identified the
but
committees.
this is a change, actually.
Okay.
This is a change.
I just did it to
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
note
she
to
had
you,
a word
but
in front of
yes.
it, yeah, building.
I'll look up the documents and then we can,
Yeah, and then we can take it. I mean, I think the concept is excellent. But if we want to call it whatever, facilities, building, landscape, we can do that.
can't remember if it's part of the bylaws or not. That's what I'll double check.
Well, I don't know if it's the bylaws or we probably adopted an ordinance at some time. Trustee Kilgore's probably got a better memory than anybody in that regard, because I think he wrote a lot of that. Not to put you on the spot or anything, Trustee Kilgore.
I'm gonna,
I believe it's in the bylaws.
That's what I
I'll
thought,
check
too.
it tomorrow. And
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of standing committees, but really it's, most committee creation and appointment is within the discretion of the chair, but I'll check it and email you tomorrow.
okay. Yep, very good, thank you.
Okay. With that, we're approaching another public comment time. If anybody from the public has any comments they want to make to the library board, now's the perfect time to do that. Just have to go to the podium and make your comments, ask them questions. And if not, we're going to move past the second public comment time and move to item number 16, which are matters of board action.
Yes. So A is a social media policy. This is first draft. I'd like to bring it back actually in September. I'd like to give you the opportunity to read through it and if you have any thoughts. This was one of the major charges that we gave to our new electronic services librarian when he started here with Novi, along with improving our social media presence with the library, and I'm sure you've noticed a lot of that. He's very good at posting on our Facebook. In fact, it's done regularly, daily, I should say. We also have a Twitter account, and we've also added Pinterest as well. And then now with our mobile app coming this week, these are all things that have seen improvement or have been added to the library since we brought on the electronic services librarian. So what he did, and Evan Smale is our electronic services librarian, he looked at a number of different social media policies that are out there in regard to libraries and put together language that he felt was useful to not only the public in order to share, but also to be used internally so that our staff understands where, you know, where we see, where we act in terms of the policy and where we stand in terms of some of these issues. So I just wanted to provide this to you tonight. If there's any questions, I'm happy to address, but I think it's more for you to read at this point, and I'll bring back in September. Okay?
My only comment,
Yes.
and I was impressed when I read it, and I was sort of curious if he had come up with this on his own. It almost looks like there's been the benefit of either a lot of thinking and refining,
Yes.
or someone else has a policy that seems to work pretty good.
He
because
looked at a number of them, so I do believe it was a nice conglomeration of a number of different policies that he looked at for best use of language.
Sure. I don't know if the board has any thoughts or comments now. I know this is our first draft, but if we have any comments or thoughts, now's a good time to give some feedback back to staff before we come back for a second read. I guess not.
Okay.
Move on.
Thank you. B is just for, it's not an approval, but it's just the board to recognize that there will be additional costs that will be coming out of our 934 budget for this year in relation to the HVAC system. All of that's moved forward, they've been ordered and everything, but I just wanted there to be a recognition of that. When it's something additional that we haven't done, I try to bring that information to you.
Trustee Marcos.
I don't think that we have a formal instructive, but I think it's just been our policy during our budgetary discussions that the director and staff has leeway in terms of managing the adapted budget, not so much by specific line item, but by categories. So if any one line item exceeds initial budgetary constraint, we don't have to formally amend the budget as long as that category is still within. So if you move from one pocket to the other, I'm okay
Because
with
it's
it.
additional. Yep. And then C, this is, I'm looking for the adoption of this. This is a declaration for the right of libraries. This was brought to the American Library Association Conference on July 2nd, 2013. I've provided you with the language, and actually I just had received, we get a weekly update on what's going on in libraries, and this was an update from the conference that occurred in July. So just to give you some background, Barbara Stripling is currently the president of the American Library Association, and at the conference, she was quoted with saying, "The declaration will serve as an advocacy tool to help communities take action and illustrate the value of their libraries and library staff. Our hope is that library supporters will take advantage of this tool and present collected signatures to local leaders and legislators throughout our year." Now, I, at this point, don't know how I'm going to be using this. I do think that this is a wonderful piece to say that our board supports these 10 ideas for libraries. In fact, a lot of this is repeated in our strategic plan and in the goals that we typically bring out on an annual basis. So I do feel that you're probably already doing it, but I just thought, since the American Library Association has put this out, I would love for the opportunity for this board to adopt this so that we can move forward with sharing some of this information, I think, with the public, and then marketing a little more what we can do and what we intend to be doing as a library and for our community.
question of the chair?
Yes, go ahead.
So what does that mean if we formally adopt it? Are we binding future boards? Or is it something that?
I think it's more as
I didn't think so. That's
Yeah,
why
I
I'm
don't
asking.
think so. And the way she has presented, like, I didn't attend ALA's conference, but I was glad that there was a good explanation of why it's being used, but it is more of advocacy and marketing of libraries, so.
But is it something similar to the memorandum of understanding that we share with the Friends where we ratify it, or review and ratify each year?
I will find out, because I think what we would do is we would be following American Library Association if they make changes to it. I think we're saying that we're in support of it for how it's been adopted for the ALA, and then as a public library itself, how we would adopt it. So I think we would be looking for changes to this as they make changes. And yes, we might be bringing it back after time if they make changes to it, depending on how libraries change in the future. But for now, these
So
10.
is this something that would go as part of our policy manual?
I think we would put it in our bylaws, and yes, we would address it at that point. But I think it really does speak to what we are already doing or what we're striving to do with the new strategic plan, plus what we've already put in place, in terms of serving our community. I don't know if you see, but number 10, I was pretty excited about because it says libraries preserve our nation's cultural heritage, so it's talking about historical documents. You've made huge strides with the Historical Commission over the last couple of years to start preserving Novi's history. So, we already fit in these categories in terms of doing things, but it's a nice way to say that under the American Library Association, our library also follows these points.
Playing devil's advocate, why wouldn't a library adopt these?
Exactly.
And are there any that are not?
I don't know. I don't know if there are libraries that won't. To me, it seems like the perfect piece to be following, especially if you're doing strategic planning or doing any planning for a library and goal setting. It's a good structure to have in place and to be referring to.
I think this is a real kind of basic, everybody kind of agrees with libraries in general. I don't necessarily think this means that our library says we will do each and every one of these things or have a top priority. I think we will, but I think it's almost like if you don't have anything else, this is kind of a nice thing to adopt. So, I mean, I'm in favor of adopting it because I think it's hard to argue with any of the 10 principles that are stated there.
I mean, if you look at our own Declaration of Independence, we have a structure and people follow, some people don't. This is, to me, this is something similar coming from our larger organization being the American Library Association, that we would say, yes, there are many of these that we would strive to do for our community and for our specific library.
Again, I'm not getting into the particulars here. I'm just trying to understand formally what it means. If we have a mission statement and this is a statement of values, or is it part of our policies?
This wouldn't be a statement of our values. We already have that in place.
Right.
This would be similar to, I'm trying to think of an example. There is the Freedom of Information Act, the Freedom of, I'm sorry. I'm trying to think what it is. Oh my gosh. The Freedom of it is the Freedom of Information Act, where we say that we're going to protect people's information from the library. We adopted that through the American Library Association years ago, saying that we would follow some of that protocol. That's part of our bylaws, and that's different criteria that we can look to.
So is it going to be part of our bylaws or part of our policy manual?
I think it would be part of your bylaws. That you're saying that you're going to adhere to what the American Library Association puts together as ideas for a library. These are points of ideas for a library.
I think the essence of what you're asking, Trustee Margolis, would be in the bottom 2 lines, really, of the declaration statement here, and that urge you to show your support by signing your name to this declaration for the rights to libraries. That we show our support as a library. Not necessarily, in general. I mean, I think I read this as, this is what libraries do. This is what, not necessarily what each and every library does.
Exactly.
And I think we support, in general, libraries doing this. And once it's out there, that periodically it's kind of nice to look to. And I think at any given point in time, a particular library may be doing a lot of item 1 or a lot of item 3 or a lot of item 4. And periodically you look at that and you say, you know what? maybe we gotta refocus and do too. But I don't think it's specific to our goals, our mission, but just in general, this is what libraries do, and we support this is what libraries do.
You're right, it's just, I do see a lot of alignment from ours, which tells me that you, as a board, are very much already cognizant of and follow very much what ALA, the American Library Association, has put together as a structure for libraries.
Yeah.
So it really is, as she states here, it's an opportunity to use as advocacy. You know, that we've adopted this, we want you to know that these are areas that that some of these areas would be something that we would definitely be in favor of, because that I know if I were to look at, in fact, I looked at them close together, the declaration and our strategic plan and our goals, you're doing this. Lifelong learning was a huge part of our strategic plan.
Pardon my denseness on this one.
Sure.
I'm having a hard time trying to distinguish why this isn't just part of our marketing, and we're promoting it. Why are we considering it a bylaw or a policy adoption?
Well, I mean, but I'm looking for you to adopt it as a board, is what I'm looking for. Where we place it, if you don't want it in bylaws or anything, but I want to use this and I want to say that the library board supports this. So that's why I'm looking for adoption to it.
I think Julie might want to check into what the ALA intends for this document to be a
That's
little
what I-
further. I think this might be something that they want us to
They want to
put up,
present.
put as a petition for our patrons to get involved in and sign and become part of, not necessarily for the
Right.
board or
No.
for it to become part of our bylaws or become a policy. I think that this is something they want us to involve the public in, and the public
do.
adopting, and it becoming like a petition type document.
It says right here, it says, our hope is that library supporters will take advantage of this tool and present collected signatures to local leaders and legislators throughout the year. So, you know, having, and they're not here, but having Senator Caldwell here, this would be fantastic, you know, as a board to approve with signatures. So you'd be the first 7 signatures
See,
that
you
might
just
sign that.
used a different word, though. You said approve, not adopt. That's where I'm struggling here.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Administratively, I have no problem with this.
Right.
But when you say we have to adopt this and
Then-
now
then we
make
could
it
change the
something that
wording
goes
to
forward
approve.
to all new board members
sure.
for them to consider. I'm
Yeah.
not
We
quite.
could, the word is definitely then something we can change. Approve would be, I use them interchangeably. So adopt, approve, it's, to me, it's, I'm
And I'll
looking for
defer
you
to
to.
the attorneys here. Am I parsing words here? I mean,
I am forming up a motion. I think that we would ask you to put together the suggested ALA declaration as a petition in the form for our own patrons to sign and bring it back to the board for the board to be the first 7 signatories in their individual capacity.
So then we could approve
We could
the
accept it.
library using this document to collect
Yeah.
approval signatures then.
That would
And
be
then
great.
that would be something that actually has some meat to it at that point.
Very good, okay. Yep, we'll
Now,
bring
would
it
the
back.
timing work out fine? I mean,
We have
is
a whole
it-
year. They're using this as a
Okay.
year campaign, so fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are they suggesting signatures of some sort? I mean, have they given us something to sign, so to speak?
Well, what I was thinking, and I can look into this further, was to make it online and to see how many people actually put their name out there and show their support of this. We would reach out to them in that way. And, you know, if you agree with this and you support your library under these criteria, we'd be looking for support of that. I think this is a way, again, this is a perfect document to take to Senator Caldwell, to take to Representative Crawford, who we right now currently work with us, and say, you know, I'd love to see your signature on here as a supporter of this. You're saying that you, hopefully at the state level someday, this might be for us to have, for them to be more aware of, we have the support of them to believe that this is what our library does. So again, I'm looking for our council members as well. We have huge support there. So these, and pretty much any patron that believes in our library, that would believe that we would be doing some of these points, it would be, we would hope that they would want to sign it.
Not to disagree with any of my trustees, because I think that's a very legitimate interpretation of this, but when I read it, I have to admit, I didn't think of individuals signing it. I thought of the Novi Public Library supporting this declaration for the right to libraries. And I'm a little confused if, in fact, now this is intended for the Novi Public Library to support this declaration for the right to libraries, or as an institution, as opposed to each and every board member, individual, et cetera. And I'm a little confused now because I see it could be interpreted either way, but I read this as we're asking the Novi Public Library as an institution to support this declaration for the right to libraries. Not a petition to circulate throughout wherever.
Well, they mention here, it says signings are being organized at libraries and other locations throughout the nation. The petitions will be presented to Congress by library supporters during National Library Legislative Day activities in May of 2014. Online signing of the declaration will be made available later this summer. So we can either link to it already and they could be signing the actual formal one, but I wanted you to be aware because I'd like to use this and get the support of the board in order to move forward with this type of campaign. So, and it says in the next year, libraries of all types will hold signing ceremonies. So, we could invite, literally have an evening where we talk about the library and how we fit to these 10 under this declaration and invite people to sign it and be in support of the Novi Library and libraries in general with this declaration. I think there's an opportunity to do that. It's really just building support of libraries in general. Obviously, you'd be gaining that support with Novi as well.
I think
I'll bring
we
it
all
back in a sec.
favor doing this, at least I'm not sure procedurally how we do it. It almost goes, I think it does
You know
go
what,
back to
I'll
trustee
reach out,
Margolis.
just
first.
find out what
Do we
their-
adopt it, do we approve it, do we support it, do we sign it? And I think if this is an individual signing, then I'm not so sure we as a board have to do anything with it. We're just gonna have this and have people sign it, and maybe
Well, and I want you
we
to be
would.
comfortable with seeing this out, if we're using it on Facebook or on the website, that you wouldn't be wondering, why are we doing this?
Right, but I think
Okay.
what's, the procedure that we're not sure of is there signature lines attached to this?
Right. Okay.
Or,
I'll get you some more details for
institutional
that.
signatures or people or whatever. I didn't hear anybody at this board jump up and say, I don't agree with point 1 or point 2, or I would reword it or anything like that. I think procedurally or mechanism wise, how do we go about putting this to the next level?
Great, okay. Thank you. That's all I have for matters for board action.
Okay. I think unless somebody has anything else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So, second?
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Unanimously have agreed to adjourn at about 8:43.